Hi, this video is about lyric text mining for songwriting education, and it's going to go through some of my thinking about how text mining can be used to help teach students about the revision process. So the solution that I'm proposing goes through the following steps. So students submit to their teacher a list of songs with lyrics that they like and that they would like their songs to sound like. I use just a base set of 10 songs in this, but this can be as big or as small as the students want. And then they also submit a group or even just one song that they're currently working on that they're hoping to revise and improve. The teachers take the list of songs and they're going to use Luke and Cometrics to analyze those works, and then they put that into Excel. And I'll provide a template for what that Excel spreadsheet could look like that has some tools to make sense of this data and compare them to each other. And then finally, with your student, you go over the results and you synthesize a list of possible revisions. And the benefits that this gives is it gives you some objective comparisons to those student-provided examples, and it gives a chance to build some clear, small, achievable goals for students to take into the revision process. So why is this needed? Songwriting teachers encounter this problem, especially when you're introducing the idea of even starting a song, but also revisions, that it's the classic issue of the blank canvas. There's any way you can take this, so I don't even know where to start. And what text mining offers is some very clear guidance of saying, in this revision, try to improve in this one small area. And that can be a really important catalyst to even just be able to start and think about how to improve songs incrementally. The other one is that most teachers are themselves established musicians, and if they're teaching songwriting, well, it's hard to not just impose how you would want to write this song on your student. And so by using another tool, by using text mining, teachers can better understand their students' goals by understanding that list of songs that the student submitted and try to help remove their own biases and preferences from the process. And instead of guiding their student to their preferred aesthetic, help their student understand what their own aesthetic may be. So I'm going to show the tool and run through a proof of concept for how we might produce revisions for a song that I worked on with one of my songwriting partners that she's been in the revision process with, called The Stray. So this is what Luke output looks like. I have these color-coded so you can do some base level visual analysis and look if there's any outliers in a strong data set. So up here, these are the 10 songs submitted. These are a bunch of songs in progress that I was looking at to just make comparisons. And these are songs that have been finished. These are songs that are still in progress to see if there's any large differences. And then I have averages of these down here. What's probably the most useful of this is that you can compare any two of these and look at the differences between them just down here as you want. So if I wanted to look at two specific songs and compare them, I could load those in here and just look at exactly how these differ. Or I could compare them to the averages set. So I could say like the averages of the professional set, look them against my finished song set, and you can generate some insights here. But what we want to look at is, I loaded these down here for The Stray. We wanted to compare it to this song called Cigarettes. And highlighted here are the big differences that we found and identified. We'll come back to that. I want to also show, this is the Cometrics side of the dashboard. And this works in a similar function. You can pull in different songs on this side and then compare how the Cometrics versions, or the Cometrics variables stack up between the two songs. Because cometrics has some variables that are very small numbers and some that are very large numbers, we have weighted comparisons on these sites that these are dividing the numbers by each other, so you end up with these percentages of each other. So some of these are more useful to look on this side, some of these are more useful to look on here, but you have options to see both. So when looking at The Stray, we compared it primarily to this song called Cigarettes. And we were looking through and came up with some possible revisions from the differences we saw here. And the ones we wanted to look at is that, so the word count was much lower. We wanted to add some depth to The Stray. The Stray was much more analytic, and we wanted to try to reduce that. We took that, this combined higher analytic and higher insight as being The Stray was too focused on kind of internal processes and not spending the time storytelling. So we wanted to say less analysis, less insight, more storytelling. We also we looked over at these, the focus future, and saw that this is much higher. We wanted to also look and see if we could get this more present tense focused, and again help the storytelling by, instead of saying this is a thing that I'm going to do, say this is a thing that I'm currently doing, and reduce that future focus. As you look at Cigarettes, has zero future focus, so we wanted to try to reduce that. In Cometrics, we found that compared to the average professional song, there was very, very little second person pronouns incidents in The Stray. And what we took that to be as there's no secondary characters other than the speaker in The Stray. And so we wanted to elaborate more about the people around the story that is happening in The Stray. So here are our possible revisions again, and it's important to think about these as possible revisions, right? These aren't things that if you get that number higher, your song is going to be better. These are places to look at with scrutiny and say, is this really how I want it to be? Is this the best fit for the song, right? This whole process, it's important to reiterate that a lot, especially with students, because it's not like you make the numbers match up and the song is going to be as good as those example songs. It's just not going to work like that. But you use these as a lens and you say, these numbers are very different. So why is that? And is that intentional? So going into the revision for The Stray, these are things that we wanted to look at, but not necessarily change every single one of these. Can we get it more present time focused? Can we decrease the insight and increase the storytelling? Can we just write more, make it a little bit longer? And can we establish that second character to provide more interest to the story? And here's what happened. So we went through a revision, spent maybe 45 minutes to an hour making rewrites, and then analyzed our revised version against the original, and here's what we found. So we reduced the future focus by 3.91 points. We reduced the insight count by 1.49, but reduced the analytic by 18.54, which is good. We added 60 more words. We added 2 verses. And we did establish the character. We had 1.4 times the amount of second-person pronoun incidents, which is still lower than the average, but it's higher, right? And another important point with this isn't done. This is an iterative process. We would analyze this again, find some more points for feedback, and keep tuning, right? After we did this revision process, we had a conversation about it, and here's some highlights from that. There's a bit of insecurity around songwriting, so having the goal was really helpful to guide myself through the story of the song. Having structure helped me because I knew what I was working towards. And I feel like it made us have way more granular discussions, like debating if it's better to use "I'll spend some time" or "I'm spending time." And all of these quotes get to kind of the importance of this provides a lens to understand how our songs may be different in ways that are not intentional from the other songs that we really like. And we can analyze our own work in a new way by being focused by the numbers. So I think this tool has importance. I think that in our proof of concept, it was successful, that we saw that doing this type of analysis can guide songwriting insight in important ways. And if you're a teacher and you have lots of songwriting students and you don't have the time to become familiar with every single one of their inspirational materials, this can be a good way to get an understanding of what that student's goals may be and what works they like and want to emulate, without sinking countless hours becoming familiar with every genre imaginable, with every new artist. At some point there's a huge bottleneck, and text mining could be a way around it. All right, thanks for watching and checking this out, and I hope it was interesting.